this individual power is doomed to vanish should a collective reaction of great magnitude not happen. The period to come is that of rupture, whichever way it may be. But should you wait for the last moment to find solutions? Should you anticipate or undergo pain? Your history has never ceased to be marked by encounters between peoples who had to discover one another in conditions that were often conflictual. Conquest almost always happened to the detriment of others. Earth has now become a village where everyone knows everyone, but still conflicts persist and threats of all kinds get worse in duration and intensity. Although a human being as an individual, yet having many potential capacities, cannot exercise them with dignity. This is the case for the biggest majority of you for reasons that are essentially geopolitical. There are several billion of you, yet the education of your children and your living conditions, as well as the conditions of numerous animals and much plant life, are nevertheless under the thumb of a smaller number of your political, financial, military, and religious representatives. Your thoughts and beliefs are modelled after partisan interests to turn you into slaves, while at the same time giving you the feeling that you are in total control of your destiny, which in essence is the reality. But there is a long way between a wish and a fact. When the true rules of the game at hand are unknown, this time you are not the conqueror. Biasing information is a millenary strategy for human beings. Inducting thoughts, emotions, or organisms that do not belong to you via ad hoc technologies is an even older strategy. Wonderful opportunities of progress stand close to big subdual and destruction threats. These dangers and opportunities exist now. However, you can only perceive what is being shown to you. The end of natural resources is programmed, whereas no long-term collective project has been launched. Ecosystem exhaustion mechanisms have exceeded irreversible limits. The scarcity of resources and their unfair distribution, resources which entry price will rise day after day. This will bring about fratricide fights at a large scale, but also at every heart of your cities and your countrysides. Hatred grows bigger, but so does love. That is what keeps you confident in your ability to find solutions, but the critical mass is insufficient, and a sabotage work is cleverly being carried out. Human behaviours formed from past habits and trainings have such an inertia that this perspective leads you to a dead end. You entrust these problems to the representatives, whose conscience of common well-being slowly fades away in front of corporatist interests. With those difficulties, they are always debating on the form, but rarely on the content. Just at the moment of action, delays will accumulate to the point when you have to submit, rather than choose. This is the reason why more than ever in your history, your decisions of today will directly and significantly impact your survival of tomorrow. What event could radically modify this inertia that is typical of any civilization? Where will a collective and unifying awareness come from that will stop this blind rushing ahead? Tribes, populations, and human nations have always encountered and interacted with one another. Faced with the threats weighing upon the human family, it's perhaps time that a greater interaction occurred. A great roller wave is on the verge of emerging. It mixes very positive but also very negative aspects. Who are the third party? There are two ways to establish a cosmic contact with another civilization. via its standing representatives or directly with individuals without distinction. The first way entails fights of interest, the second way brings awareness. The first way was chosen by a group of races motivated by the keeping mankind in slavery, thereby controlling Earth's resources, the gene pool, and human emotional energy. The second way was chosen by a group of races allied with the cause of the spirit of service. We have, at our end, subscribed to this disinterested cause, and introduced ourselves a few years ago to representatives of the human power, who refused our outstretched hand on the pretext of incompatible interest with their strategic vision. That is why today individuals are to make this choice by themselves, without any representative interfering. What we proposed in the past to those whom we believed were in a capacity to contribute to your happiness, we propose it now to you. Most of you ignore that non-human creatures took part in the exercise of those centralizing powers, without them being neither suspected nor accessible to your senses. This is so true that they have almost very subtly taken control. They do not necessarily stand on your material plane, and that is precisely what could make them extremely efficient and frightening in the near future. However, be aware that a large number of your representatives are fighting this danger. Be aware, not all abductions are made against you. It is difficult, though, to recognize the truth. How could you, under such conditions, exercise your free will when it is so much manipulated? What are you really free of? Peace and reunification of your peoples would be a first step towards the harmony with civilizations other than yours. This is precisely what those who manipulate you behind the scenes want to avoid at all costs, because by dividing they reign, they also reign over those who govern you. Their strength comes from their capacity to distillate mistrust and fear into you. This considerably harms your very cosmic nature. This message would be of no interest if these manipulate, tutorate did not reach its peak, and if their misleading and murderous plans did not materialize in a few years from now. Their deadlines are close, and mankind will undergo unprecedented torments for the next 10 cycles. To defend yourselves against this aggression that bears no face, you need at least to have enough information that leads to the solution. It is also the case with humans. Resistance exists amongst those dominant races. Here again, appearance will not be enough to tell the dominator from the ally. At your current state of psychism, it is extremely difficult for you to distinguish between them. In addition to your intuition, training will be necessary when this time has come. Be aware of the priceless value of free will. We are inviting you to an alternative. What can we offer? We can offer you more holistic version of the universe and of life, constructive interactions, the experience of fair and fraternal relationships, liberating technical knowledge, eradication of suffering, controlled exercise of individual powers, the access to new forms of energy, and finally, a